families invite close friends to gather around the table to feast on an exquisite meal, it is traditional for some families to pray ahead of such meals. But then as a guest, what do you do when your phone rings in the middle of the Christmas prayer? Well, don't be caught committing the next cellular sins. A social media analyst, Pritesh Siraj, is here to give us some tips on mobile etiquette, especially this time when we are in close proximity of relatives who are not necessarily aware of our habits. A very good morning to you, Pritesh. We thank you very much for your time this morning. Mobile phones seem to be with us all the time, but they are universal etiquette rules. What are those?
Yeah, essentially, I think one of the key things is, number one, it boils down to control your phone, don't let your phone control you. And regardless of the situation, that's the overarching thought process. And as we go down into the festive season and we're sharing a table with lots of different people, I think one of the key things to keep at the top of mind is how do you ensure that your phone is part of a wholesome experience and not dominating the experience in a negative way.
Now, tomorrow is Christmas Day and families and friends are going to be gathering together. What is a no-no at the table when it comes to food and mobile phones?
Yeah, I think one of the key challenges we have today, we live in a world where it's enjoyable to take out your phone and take photos of the food and post it. But you got to understand, when you're doing that, you're taking away from the experience, especially in an event like Christmas. So one of the big no-nos, firstly, is don't take out your phone, don't take photos of the food. Try and be present in the situation itself. Experience it, enjoy the food for what it is, other than just the visual aesthetic and trying to share that with other people. So that's the first and key thing that you really need to do. Try and stay away from all the food photo pics.
But where does one find the balance in obviously wanting to be in the moment, but at the same time wanting to capture that moment for later?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges these days, we live in a space where we believe we need to capture every single moment and remember it later. But this is why we have our memories, isn't it? So memories codify that experience in a way that you can remember at a later stage. It doesn't need to be in an image. And the real challenge is that a lot of people will take out their mobile phones, take lots of images, and really not go back and look at those images. So it's resulting in a negative situation when you're at the table, but not adding to a positive situation so later. Enjoy the experience, be in the moment, and enjoy it with all your friends and family without allowing the phone to dominate.
And what about the do's and don'ts, I think, that people sometimes forget, specifically when it comes to taking photos, posting specific photos on your Facebook page or your social media page, forgetting that there is life after Christmas and New Year's, and you are possibly going to want to be looking for a job next year.
That's correct. You know, lots of us think that anything we post on social media, and because it's in a family environment, belongs only to that time and no one else is going to look at it. And even if they do, they're going to put it within context. And that's not really true. I mean, a lot of the things we're posting out there are things that our future employers may look at, but not just future employers, our friends as well. Our friends will look at it and go, oh yeah, I'm reminded about how tipsy they were at that particular event, and maybe a negative repercussion of that. The other thing as well is that it's a private event. When you're in an event and you're at someone else's home, let's say, you're actually experiencing their environment. Posting pictures of their home or posting pics of their pets or their kids may not be something that they would appreciate at a later stage.
Yeah, and so let's touch on that. Let's talk about taking photos of other children's kids without their permission.
Yeah, I think one of the things is a lot of in the day we're living in right now, there's a lot of information that can be gathered from images. And there's a lot of parents who want to take their kids off social media or carefully curate the experiences that are being shown on social media involving their children. So if you're in someone's home and you decide to take pics of their kids and you post it on social media, you may be violating a strict code that they have and they've decided on how their child is represented on social media or the images that are shown. So be very mindful of the fact that, you know, even this child, at some point, they may be exposed to these images and may not want to have them out there. We're going through a very interesting phase in the development of social media. And think about how that child may even feel in a few years' time when that picture is out there, accessible to their entire social network.
What about live posts? What about live posts? We forget that, when we're going live, that it's somewhat there forever and it can also be recorded.
Yeah, a lot of people think those live posts disappear after a while, but it's not. These days your mobile phones allow you to record it. Lots of people are recording it and preserving those memories. So one of the things to think about, anything that you do share, it lives on forever. Even if the social media network tells you that this is going to disappear after a few minutes and no one is going to see it and it won't be there tomorrow, the reality is somebody can capture it, repost it, or have that on standby at some point to share with you again. So be mindful of that.
And what about having social media breaks? It can become so overwhelming. In the introduction of social media, you had Mixed, you had BBM, now you have WhatsApp, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Where do you begin? When do you take a break?
Yeah, this is the perfect time to do so. I think there's two things you need to focus on. At this season, you may go, let's take an extended break. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Some people are doing that as well, where they're going, we're ditching social media for an extended period of time. But the other things you can do is micro breaks. So if you're having a lunch at a friend's house, or even at your own home, maybe make it phone free and go, at the start of this event, we check in our phones at a specific point and it stays there until everyone leaves. In the same way that, in previous times, if you walk out from the rain and you've got an umbrella with you, you leave it at the door. It's the same kind of thinking and process. You leave the tool, which is a phone, at the door, and then you only collect it on your way out.
Pritesh, what if I'm a brand influencer? What if I'm a brand influencer and I need to snap from a grocery store that I've bought from, or I need to snap my Christmas Day outfit? Where do we find the balance in between helping mom and dad understand that this is fun, but it's also work. I'm getting paid for it. Yeah,
I think if you're a brand influencer, then the dynamics are different. Then you've got to see is that, are you comfortable bringing that work into the home environment? Are the other people in that environment happy for you to be working during that time? Or do you need to take the time off? In the same way that all of us actually take a break and have a holiday over this period. Maybe as a brand influencer, understand that a lot of people are not spending as much time on social media. They're out living. Maybe you should take a break and live as well.
I've seen it on social media, and it seems to be a trend amongst groups of guys where they all put their phones in the middle.
Yes.
And whoever touches their phone first, or whoever's girlfriend or partner calls first, they have to pay the bill.
Yes.
So, especially in a social setting. So, what are we looking at in terms of creating those sort of borders in social settings to make sure that it's a cell phone free zone?
I love that, and I've seen it work fantastically well to actually build camaraderie within groups. But at a home environment, one of the things you can do is put your phones in a central environment, first person touch. Every time you touch your phone, there we go, 10 rand into a jar. Just like you'd have a swear jar, now you'd have a phone jar.
Make some money out of it.
Make some money. Or you donate it to charity, so you do it for a good cause. If you're touching your phone, just notice you see your money adding up and you go, yeah, I shouldn't be playing with it that much, and donate it to a charity. It's a good cause.
And how is social etiquette, specifically on being your phone, affected the notion or the experience of going out, going on a date, meeting someone for the first time, or having a business meeting?
Yeah, I think across the board, the phone is actually taken away from that experience in a little way. I had an experience recently where we went out with a group of friends, and one of them spent the entire time on the phone, not because they were disinterested in the experience, but because they wanted to share that experience with everyone else. And this is how simple it is. In any environment where a phone makes it uncomfortable, take it away. We're on air right now. If I pull out my phone and I decide,
two phones.
I pull out both my phones and go, let's live broadcast it, and let's take photos and put it on Instagram. That would make you feel very uncomfortable, because it's not the norm. So what we do is, let's stop normalizing the idea that it's fine for the phone to be there. I love it. I love my device. As you see, 2 phones, love my devices. I'm practically addicted to them. But even I know that there's certain limits where you got to stop.
But what about it, I think in this generation, what about it being considered as a mechanism to make one feel comfortable? So when you are in a comfortable situation, you take out your phone to find a form of comfort and to somewhat build a wall.
Yeah, I think that's actually very, very dangerous. And you're right, a lot of people do that. It's basically, kids have a little blankie. Now you've got your phone to actually make you feel comfortable. And what it does is it actually gives you an excuse not to be involved and not to break through some of the challenges, those psychological challenges that you have and those barriers to actually interact with the group. So just be mindful of the fact that using your phone doesn't help you actually cope. It actually reinforces your ability to hide from the group, even though you're in an entire group setting. So it's not necessarily a positive experience.
Lastly, let's talk about YouTube. Let's talk about the power of YouTube and the power of your phone simultaneously in being able to create content, have a channel, and subsequently make money out of that.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is YouTube creators are growing, and it's not just YouTube, it's across the board. Creators and influencers on social media channels are having a huge impact on society to the point where consumers trust social media influencers over celebrities. So you can be a social media influencer, but what you've got to think about is that this is a job in a way. You've got to curate it, ensure the quality is great, and it's very easy to do so. You don't need any technical equipment. You just need your mobile phone, the data to upload to the social media network, and consistency. If you're consistent, you'll grow a loyal audience, and you'll find that it'll be a fun experience as well.
Good conversation. Thank you very much for joining us in studio, Pritesh Siwaj, social media analyst, talking all things phone etiquette. Of course, if you're an influencer, this might not apply to you in having to have a no phone rule come at Christmas Day. We're going to take a short break here on the agenda. Do stay tuned.